was on my right, on my left extreme window seat was a doctor from Lady Harding Medical College. And she said, we see from the footfalls in the hospital, boys come more, girls are very less. Where are the girls? Are they very healthy? No, no, no. Girls can suffer at home, but boys are more in the... Because if a boy falls ill, the mother promptly brings the child. But if a girl falls ill, she can suffer a bit. You can try a local Ved or a local something help and see, unless she's truly on the difficult end. Of course, exceptions are in everything. But this is what my Lady Harding doctor told me. So there's lack of health care. In her reproductivity, she doesn't decide how many children she will bring. Others decide. Until a son is born, she continues to reproduce. Or abort. Or goes to a CT scan and get herself cleaned up. So this is how science is now, as very rightly mentioned, it needed Amir Khan to make this into a whole national revulsion. What has happened? Of course we all knew, but that day, I know last Sunday, we all had a serious personal revulsion to what we were seeing. But that's a fact of life. Then comes, my friends, her time to marry. When she marries, dowry is a must. And the parents further are disempowered when they borrow money. They borrow money because lambi barat aani hai. Bahut sare log aane hai. So it has to be a big... So the parents go into a debt, sell their land, sell their house to marry their daughter. And then, of course, children are born, and now she wants to meet her parents. She's not empowered. She has to take permission. Main apni mummy daddy ko milne chali jaun. And the in-laws have the power to say no. Exceptions are very few. This is about women disempowered, those who are have-nots. Now let us look at what disempowers you and me, the educated class. You think we are empowered? You think we are empowered? You think our educated women are empowered? How many think who are empowered? Wow, you know, partly empowered. 3, partly empowered. 4, partly empowered. See, you even partly raising your hand. You're not even saying empowered. See, partly empowered. Why are we partly empowered? Where does our part empowerment begin? Part empowerment begins also from our birth. Not birth or place, but parents. Who are our parents? In our case, where we have opportunities, who decides which school we go to? Good school or an easy school? But the boy will go to the best school. But the girl may choose a second best school, not the best school. So the first disempowerment or empowerment in our case begins with the parents. Right or wrong? It begins with the vision of the mother and the father. It's either empowering or it's disempowering. And that is how they provide access to opportunities which were there, which are partial. Let me give you my story. When I was born in a rich landed property family in Amritsar. A family which has dharamsalas in northern India by the name of Peshawariya dharamsalas. There were a lot of inherited wealth which was earned by my forefathers. And they were one of the richest family in the city of Amritsar. Huge amount of giving and taking. But when it came to, and we are 4 sisters in my father, my mom, we are 4 sisters. We are 4 daughters of our parents. Here is a very rich landlord grandfather who had employed my father in his factory. And my father those days used to get 60 rupees a month to work for his father's factory. And my grandfather was probably the first man or the second man in Amritsar to own a car in the 50s. And he had a buggy full of white, nice horses. So we had stables where I used to see a buggy full of horses, where my grandfather used to sit in the evening, sit in that buggy, and the coach would drive him to the club, and he would have a cigar in his mouth. So he would have a cigar, and I remember as a child having seen him, a cigar, and he would be going there. Now came the time when we girls were to go to a school. There was a school next door to our house. And there was the best school of the city was 14 kilometers away from our house. My father did not have any transport. My grandfather had not given any transport to my father. So my father had a bicycle, while my grandfather had a car and a buggy. And we used to sit all. Now, when it came to the admission of I'm the second daughter of my family. The elder sister, when she was 5 years older than me, she was to be admitted. My father decided to send her to the best school of the city, which almost meant at that time 1/3 of my earning of my father. It was such an expensive school. It is called the Sacred Heart School of Amritsar. It was Catholic convent, the best school of that time in Amritsar. My grandfather told my dad, that why don't you send Shashi to the school which is next door? It's free. It's free. That's the time when my father, for the first time, told his own father. He spoke up to his own father for the first time, saying, Papaji, you have been deciding on my life all this time. I did everything which you wanted me to do. I work for you. I married the woman you chose for me. I married the manner in which you wanted the marriage to go, but you will not decide the fate of my children. As far as my daughter is concerned, you will not decide which school she'll go to. And my father defied his grandfather, his own father, for the first time in his life. And do you know, my grandfather punished him. My grandfather punished my father, saying, do you know, if you do this, I will deprive you of the following. My father said, no, you may deprive me of anything, but my life of my daughters will be different. So it's a question of parents. Here the birth is upper middle class and rich classes, but the attitude of the mother, and that was the same attitude of my mother. Both were very, very pro-education, and they were very pro-children. We were born, we were valued, we were respected. Never once in my own home ever I heard my parents say, wish they had a son. Because the way they groomed us was as an equal person in this world. Equal. No deprivation of any facility which could have been even with the boy. So what I'm trying to say is, this is disempowerment for educated. Here were educated parents who could have disempowered their own family by their own attitude, which could have been said, after all, they're girls and they're going to go away, let me send them to the nearby school and I don't have to spend the money. This would have been disempowering. Here was a situation where as children, we had do you know, my father used to make us sit on a bike. Then we became 3 and we became 4. So we were either going in a tonga, hired tonga, or sometimes my father used to have my younger sister on the handle of a bike and I sitting on daddy's carrier, and my father used to cycle us 14 kilometers to the school so that we reach. This is the way we were brought up. And all along the way, after the school, we were straight away sent to the tennis court. From school to the court. This is empowering. What is disempowering, my friends? When girls play no games. It's disempowering. What is empowering for boys? The physique they are built with, come with. What is disempowering for girls is biology. Could I joined the Indian Police Service if I was not a tennis player? No. I would have never made it to physical fitness with the boys. I would have failed. I would have never had the courage to challenge them in my stamina, in my marathons. Where does the credit go to? Where does the empowerment go to? Opportunities. But for opportunities, parents. In this country, will women ever be empowered? No. Not till conservative, backward thinking parents are in